This is Netvideo. I'm Jason Romney. We're at the Gold Coast at the Screen Producers Association of Australia's annual conference, and we're talking to Richard Titus from Plinyminor Films.
Hello.
Richard, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Now, Richard, you've just made a transition from the world's leading interface and design company, Schematic, based in Los Angeles, to a new venture.
The transition is more soft than that, is that I'm still involved in Schematic. I love the firm, I'm really proud of it, but my heart has always been in the world of being a content creator. Despite all of my ventures in the tech business, I never really lost that passion. And interestingly, for the last couple of years, I've been doing a lot of public speaking around something called the long tail, which was developed by Chris Anderson, one of the managing editors of Wired. And I realized as I was working on presenting and talking and really imbibing that philosophy that actually Schematic, while some of its business comes directly from some of the business drivers that the long tail describes, was not really a company that was going to maximize the future of what long tail meant. And really I could see a better opportunity, which was the creation of genre, low cost, high value content which had a long shelf life. And my partner, who is actually my wife, and I started the film company almost 4 years ago, so they've been in parallel to each other for the entire time. What I've done in the last few months is focus more of my time to make movies and television and brand entertainment properties. So we have 2 films in production currently, a television show, and we have 3 more films we'll finish by the end of March, all of which are greenlit and financed. Most of our product is genre entertainment, either sci-fi, horror, action, or, as I said, brand entertainment. And the business model, put simply, is we try and have the projects break even out of pre-sales and a combination of soft money and the initial licensing upfront fees, so that all profit, the long tail, becomes profit for us forevermore. And we own all copyright in all projects, so that's one of our real drivers.
People are watching the arrival of Internet Protocol TV and also movie content on cell phones, especially here in Asia, and they're wondering whether that's going to affect the nature of the stories that are told. Is your company coming up with stories that are somehow custom built for the new distribution modes, or is it the same strong traditional stories?
Well, that's a great question. I think there is a real opportunity long term to begin to build different kinds of content, but our company right now is focused on satisfying the existing market for long form television movies and theatrical movies, as well as television programming, which is specifically based around more traditional models. The interesting thing is, however, because we own the copyright, long term it's our intention to exploit this across all platforms on all media. An interesting point I might add, though, is that with movies on cell phones, someone asked me the other day, well, that's going to be news or funny clips or whatever, and I said, actually, 24 would be the perfect thing to show on a cell phone. And in fact, they did this in Europe. They had 24 mobisodes, which were little mobile episodes. It was basically an episode of 24 broken into 6-minute segments, 10 of them. And I think that you will see television and other long-form entertainment being created in ways where you can exploit it across different platforms of media.
One of the traditional ways that content properties have been developed has been moving from a feature film across to the game, the cartoon, all the other different kinds of properties that can be flung off from the film. But now, more and more, people are starting with a game and actually going back the other way.
It's an interesting thing. I'm working on a project my partner is very, very well-known film producer I can't name, but anyone who knows my background will know who it is. And he and I are starting a project which is both a game and a movie simultaneously. And game development for a large platform title, which this is about 3 to 5 years. And film development's usually 18 months to 3 years. So we're actually starting the game first with the idea that we would launch a feature film and the game simultaneously for maximum impact. And I think actually one of my big criticisms of entertainment content development, and always has been since I created The Visitor back in 1998, was that producers know the silo or the world that they live in, and they don't think outside of that. So they never think about these other ancillary properties. Those to them are small incremental revenue streams. But in fact today, because they're so small, you have to maximize all of your revenue opportunities to even break even on a film. People more and more are starting to think outside the box and think about the ways of exploiting something simultaneously in multiple platforms of media.
What sort of questions are being put to you here in Australia?
Well, one of my favorite things people keep pointing out to me is that broadband here means 200K per second. And because the telco and cable company are owned by the same company, Telstra, there's no competitive drivers to making bandwidth more available or faster connectivity better. which is an interesting problem. I never thought about. Australia, I guess, is a unique market in the world in that there's no competition in the delivery of broadband to the household. You know, in the States, we have at the least cable and telcos competing with each other, and then sub-competitive groups within there. And you also have things like satellite and WiMAX and some of these things. So someone asked me what they should do about that, and I said, go raise money and start a WiMAX service, because Australia seems to me to be the perfect place for large area wireless network.
Do you think that unbundling does catalyze competition or retards it?
I think I think unbundling, things should be unbundled. I think that decision was a mistake by the FCC, and we won't go into a whole socio-political dialogue here. But however, the interesting, someone asked me, they said, "Oh well, short Earthlink because they're going to be out of business," and I think that's highly unlikely. The forced unbundling, which happened for a while before the recent decision in America, drove the telcos to do something they probably wouldn't have done, which is lease out their network. What they've discovered after having done that is it's a great profit center. If you look at the balance sheets of most telcos, they're making huge amounts of money off the access sharing that they're doing with people like Earthlink or Speakeasy. So I think, in fact, even though they can offer bundled services so they can, in effect, compete with their customers, I think that you will still see these services develop. And I think over time that ruling will actually get overturned.
One of the issues of controversy here in Australia is Telstra's decision to start trickle feeding to a cached repository on the hard disk of its users movies in a movie download service that's going to start soon. This is an issue here because Telstra owns 50% of the leading cable television provider, Foxtel, right, and this will of course compete with the Foxtel offering. What are your thoughts about filmmakers now being able to contact their audiences directly without intermediaries through the internet to distribute their films?
Well, I think something called Machinima, which I talked about in my panel today, in my keynote today, is an excellent example of sort of grassroots content creation. Machinima is the usage of video game engines to create long and short form narrative content. So for instance, they might use The Sims, the video game engine, to create a movie, the best one of which is Waking Up, which is sort of a bad knockoff of 28 Days, where this guy keeps waking up and everyone's turned into vampires, or he's turned into a woman, or other things like this. But the interesting thing about that is that that's only available on BitTorrent. You can't get it any other way. And it won a bunch of awards. It was submitted to Sundance, and we're moving to a place more and more where people are more aware of content from non-traditional sources, and we're not at a place yet where we've had a big, piece of linear content that became more famous than its sort of major media competitors. But in the music side we have, which is the Grey Album by Danger Mouse, which I also talked about on my panel, where you have the most downloaded album ever in the history of music, and it's not available in the retail.
These sorts of changes, how are they affecting the kind of preparatory work that you do for a screenplay?
Embarrassingly, not in the slightest. At the end of the day, storytelling, which is what filmmaking is all about a good story. And that art has been in development for hundreds and thousands of years. And really the visual part of that is always changing and developing, but it's still, at its core, it's a storytelling medium. And the interesting thing, however, is in the production process, it changes a lot. So most of our films now, we don't actually edit negative. We go directly to tape to D5, and we do all of our posts there because that way our visual effects costs are much lower, because we're never putting things back out to film, which is the most expensive part of the process. The other thing is based on technology. Most of our movies are very heavy visual effects films, and we're using visual effects firms all over the world. And then we hire a really rock star visual effects supervisor to sort of corral all these shops so that we're in effect offshoring our visual effects, as opposed to hiring one company in the United States, like someone like Digital Domain, who are amazing, and letting them offshore 30% of the shots. We're just doing the offshoring ourselves and getting a super high value for every dollar we put on the screen. So where the average cost of an effects shot in America is somewhere between $2,000 and $10,000 a shot, we're spending less than $1,500 a shot and getting, reasonably good quality out of those vendors.
So how is the transition to high definition film affecting your processes?
It's something we're really excited about because we think we can make films even cheaper that are better. Again, because I'm focused on the long tail, I'm focused on lower cost, longer payback cycles with an infinite opportunity for profitability. But the problem with HD is, in the United States at least, many of my customers, and Sci-Fi Channel included, won't accept a film shot in HD. Most foreign distributors for theatrical or whatever will not accept an HD film. They all still want film, 35 millimeter. And the reason for that is because so much of the stuff that was originally shot on DV or on tape is horrible, because it requires a different type of lighting, a different kind of direction of the photography. So until we get sort of a group of skilled labor, especially in the photography area of the film team, who really understand how to shoot on HD or DV, you're not going to see the adoption at the buy side.
In Australia, the Sony PSP, PlayStation Portable, is about to be launched. You've had it in the US for a while now.
Got one in my bag.
Do you? You're a lucky man. You don't want to sport that information around, or you might find it's an empty bag you return to. But the thing is, I'm wondering, given that movies can now be played on this new PSP UMD, is that a new distribution path that you're adding, and are you constantly adding new formats like that?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of value about the PSP as a video platform, and I sort of shrugged my shoulders. Of course, it's a video platform. I mean, my Xbox at home is a video platform. There's a widely available mod for the Xbox to turn it into a PVR. It's available on the net based in Linux, and I have portable video players already. I've got one on my phone. I have one on my. I have a little box from a company called X2, which is an amazing little video player. And you've got your portable media center and these devices. So, even your laptop is a portable media player. So, of course, a gaming platform will be a more video player. To not make it so would be to cripple its potential release as a product.
As I recall, you're a Trio 650 phone user. Would that be right?
Not anymore. I'm a BlackBerry
You've upgraded.
Man. No, I've crossed to the dark side.
Oh, that is the dark side, BlackBerry.
Yeah,
okay.
You know what it is I use it primarily for email, and my Trio is crashing all the time. So there you go. Product service problem drives me to another product.
Richard Titus, thank you very much for coming on Netvideo.
Controller. I have 3